Two sisters who smuggled their fugitive brother out of Britain by driving him 550 miles across Europe while he was wanted for a murder has been jailed. Aspiring lawyers Husna and Farah Khan took fugitive sibling Khayam Khurshid on a 6-day road trip across Europe in a bid to help him flee to their native Pakistan. Khurshid was wanted by UK police after he was involved in the mistaken killing of 18-year-old boxer Cole Kershaw following an underworld feud over a girl. The two women from Cheshire spent just nearly £3,000 buying a burner phone, hiring a car, booking hotel rooms, plus last-minute travel along the Eurotunnel and one-way flights to Islamabad. Lawyers for the pair suggested cultural as well as family reasons were behind the escape plot. They tried to put Khurshid on a flight at Brussels airport in Belgium and then at the airport in Amsterdam, but were thwarted because he had no certificate. So if you remember, in order to travel, you'd have had to have shown that you tested negative and you didn't have the certificates. The siblings even considered driving him the 4,700 miles to Pakistan, but police tracked them from Amsterdam and Khurshid was arrested. He was later extradited back to the UK where he was locked up for life for murder and having a firearm with intent to endanger life. At Manchester Crown Court, law student Husna and paralegal Farah both denied wrongdoing, but they were convicted of assisting an offender following a trial and they've both been jailed for 2.5 years. Khurshid is now 32, is currently serving a minimum of 27 years in jail after an appeal against his conviction was overturned. 2 other men are also serving life for murder. The escape plot began after Khurshid was among a gang of men who were involved in the bungled fatal shooting of 18-year-old Cole Kershaw at around 9:30 at night on August 12, 2020, during a feud between 2 other men over a woman. On the night of the killing in Bury, Khurshid from Radcliffe and 2 friends had been in a BMW 5 Series and armed with a gun and baseball bats when one of them shot at a vehicle in which Cole was travelling with the intended target. The 2 cars crashed following a dramatic chase, and Cole, who was said to have been in the wrong place at the wrong time, tried to flee on foot but was caught in the final hail of bullets and was hit in the side of the chest, damaging the main artery to his heart. He was taken to Royal Oldham Hospital but later died from his injuries, and the intended target of the killing escaped unharmed. The court heard in the hours after the murder. At around 11:30 at night, Khurshid contacted his sisters and arrangements were made to move a different BMW owned by Farah, which her brother had previously used. Husna searched Twitter for phrases like Cole Kershaw and Bury GMP, a reference to Greater Manchester Police, before the pair booked a room for 2 nights at the Ibis Hotel in Salford at 4 o'clock in the morning to shield Khurshid from public view. The court heard Farah also made a 450-mile round trip to Southampton for mystery reasons, for texting and FaceTiming Khurshid saying, "Inshallah, everything will be good." The siblings eventually set off to Kent using a hire car on August 16th and travelled through the Eurotunnel using last-minute tickets purchased in Dover before driving through the night across mainland Europe. Initially, they tried to book a last-minute flight to Islamabad at Brussels, but Khurshid was turned away due to his COVID status. Instead, they drove onto the Netherlands, where a further failed attempt was made to get him on a flight to the Pakistani capital via Dubai. The 2 sisters tried to get a test for Khurshid and even considered driving him the 4,700 miles to Pakistan before he was arrested when police tracked them to Amsterdam on August the 18th. The women got away but were detained when they arrived back in the UK via the Channel Tunnel. Both gave no comment interviews but later claimed they had no idea their brother had committed a murder and was simply taking him on a family holiday. Lawyers for the pair said both had mental health issues after growing up in care when their family was split up at an early age, and they suggested cultural as well as family reasons were behind the escape plot. But the judge, John Potter, told them this was a very serious offending, and he said, "I'm prepared to accept during those 6 days you were acting out of a misplaced sense of loyalty to your brother. But this does not diminish the seriousness of your offending. You tried to split it away from justice someone who had committed a murder, a man whom you knew had taken part in a cold-blooded shooting. You planned your actions carefully and more than once acted quite deliberately in trying to deceive the authorities in conducting their investigation as to the whereabouts of your brother. You were both willing to go to great lengths and pay a considerable amount of money to place your brother out of the reach of authorities. Everything possible was done to spirit him away from justice. The judge added there may have been cultural matters to play here, but no excuses arises from those matters which might have allowed you to behave in the way you did. I understand you have both, in effect, destroyed your careers in law, and it is a tragedy that two young, capable women as you are should appear before this court facing sentence for such serious offending. But you decided to act as you did, and the responsibility for your offending lies with you. So Cole Kershaw, may he rest in peace as we heard, was shot once in the chest following a pursuit between two vehicles on Chesham Road, and Kamran Mohammed, Mohammed Izaarh Khan and Khayam Ali Khurshid were all sentenced to life after being found guilty of Cole's murder. So during this incident, the court was told that Mohammed, Khan and Khurshid were all occupying the BMW chasing a Ford Mondeo that Cole and four others were in. 2 shots were fired while the BMW was pursuing the Mondeo, and a fatal third shot was discharged after Cole and his friends got out of their car and attempted to escape. The incident occurred following a dispute between Mohammed and a friend of Cole, and the court heard that the target of the shooting was Cole's friend rather than Cole himself. 9:30 that night, police were called to reports of a number of shots being fired, but sadly, despite the best efforts of emergency services, Cole, may he rest in peace, passed away in hospital a few hours later. Over 350 hours of video footage, including 75 CCTV cameras, were meticulously viewed over the course of the investigation, and over 250 people were spoken to as part of the operation, which was codenamed Landseer. The extensive manhunt was immediately underway for the gunman behind the murder, and officers eventually located and arrested Kamran Mohammed a fortnight later at an address in Rochdale. Khan handed himself in at the front desk of Bury Police Station 2 days later following the execution of an evidence warrant at his home, and as we heard, Khurshid was arrested in the Netherlands after fleeing the UK to escape the police. It's because a European arrest warrant was executed in Amsterdam, and he was arrested by Dutch officials in the city centre. At the time, the detective, Chief Inspector Andy Butterworth, the senior investigating officer, said, "The result is some justice for Cole Kershaw's family and loved ones who have experienced the most unbearable period of time since he was tragically killed last summer, and then have to relive it all over again through the course of a trial. It's been our priority from the outset to bring those responsible to account for their cowardly actions that night, and we can say that we have succeeded in our endeavour. This has been a painstaking investigation where hundreds of hours of CCTV has been reviewed and many witnesses were spoken to as detectives pieced together the events of the evening and ultimately proved the involvement of the 4 men who are now behind bars. All the incidents involved the use of weapons are unacceptable, but the fact that a young man was murdered with a firearm on the streets of Bury is particularly shocking. Cole was hit by the last of 3 shots that were fired, and on a summer's evening when young children were playing out on the street, the incident could so easily have involved other young innocent members of the public and caused misery to their families too. It is therefore important that these men are now locked up, and our thoughts remain with Cole, who was taken away from his loved ones far too soon, and his family will continue to grieve his loss. I hope the answers have now been given and will help to bring them some closure. Once again, I just want to say rest in peace, Cole, and my condolences go out to your family.